Hello, good people. Lovely to reconnect and welcome to Born for Greatness YouTube channel. All of us at Uhaibora Africa are really glad that you are tuned in. Thank you so much for your continued participation. And if you're new to our channel, karibu sana, and be sure to watch our previous videos. This is our fourth video where we look into the socio-emotional learning opportunities that you can provide for your newborn baby up to their third month. But before we dive into it, let's take a moment and celebrate every new mom listening in. What an achievement for you and your little bundle of joy. Congratulations. Indeed, you make a formidable team. A tough journey it was, but you did it. Excellent job. Now, just like you and I, a baby's socio-emotional development is spurred by prompt and adequate response to their needs. The only difference between babies and adults is that babies are wholly dependent on their caregivers' support to meet their needs, whereas adults have the necessary competencies to meet their respective needs. With that in mind, let's explore the needs that babies have when they pop into the world. They have a need to be protected, need to be loved, need for nurturance through provision of their basic needs like food, clothing, shelter, play, learning, sleep, among others. It is also correct to term these needs as your child rights because they are enshrined in the survival, protection, developmental, and participation rights which every child is entitled to according to the Convention on the Rights of the Child. I'm sure you agree with me that the first 3 months of your baby's life in the world are a tough transition period from their well-shielded life in the womb to life outside the womb. They literally have to learn everything about their new environment in order to adapt and settle. Keep in mind that everything they learn forms the basis or the foundation for their future learning. Hence, it is very critical that mom and other family members are deliberate to create for baby a safe, protective, nurturing, and stimulating social environment so that baby can internalize the desired foundational socio-emotional competencies. In our first video, we explored what socio-emotional learning entails. We identified that our children need to learn, 1, to love and accept themselves unconditionally, which helps them to self-propel and self-regulate. 2, to learn how to understand and relate with others, which will help them to establish and nurture healthy relationship with those around them. And lastly, to learn how to responsibly and productively engage with their environment, which helps them to exploit their talents and potential for the well-being, for their own well-being and that of others. This therefore underscores the need for mom and other caregivers to be very intentional in supporting baby's socio-emotional development by providing learning opportunities for baby to master the foundational socio-emotional competencies in the 3 areas that we have just talked about. But how does mom make this happen? First, I would like to mention 2 critical factors which we refer to as cardinal rules in Uhaibora because they are fundamental in building a nurturing relationship between the child and its mom and also other primary caregivers. Number 1, as caregivers, we need to ensure that we are what we want our children to be. Remember, you can only give what you have. And to put it plainly, If you want your child to demonstrate love, joy, peace, kindness, and empathy, as well as responsibility, resilience, and other positive values, then model the same to your baby. Similarly, if you model negative values such as self-doubt, mistrust, hatred, to name a few, your baby will emulate the same. This fact therefore demonstrates that the socio-emotional well-being of moms and dads and other caregivers is paramount for babies' socio-emotional learning and development. Remember, all children are very perceptive and they invest their energy to learn about themselves and their world from their primary caregivers. That said, parents and caregivers need to be in touch with their inner selves and take charge of their personal growth and development so as to ensure they continuously improve their socio-emotional well-being. The second cardinal rule for the Uhaibora team is that all caregivers need to be responsive to a child's needs. Infants and babies will communicate their needs to us through their cues, which include verbal sounds, facial expressions, crying, and body movement. Caregivers, therefore, need to study their children and understand their language so as to promptly meet their needs. This helps babies to internalize requisite socio-emotional competencies that empower them to effectively address their needs as they grow older. For example, a baby who experiences love and nurturance from their primary caregiver will be able to learn to love themselves and to love others. With that in mind, I believe it is now a good time to unpack the appropriate socio-emotional learning opportunities for our babies 0 to 3 months. We will do this by breaking this developmental phase into 3 sections. Part 1, we will look at socio-emotional learning opportunities for babies immediately they are born. And part 2, we will look at socio-emotional learning opportunities for babies from 0 to 1 month. And lastly, part 3, we'll look at socio-emotional learning opportunities for babies from 1 month to 3 months. So, let's explore socio-emotional learning opportunities for your newborn baby. When your baby is ushered into this world, they suddenly find themselves yanked from their cozy and protective home where their every need was timely and adequately met for 9 months. Think about it. Temperatures were just right. Food was readily available. Lighting and sound was controlled to your baby's liking and comforts. Then, alas, all of a sudden, they find themselves surrounded by strange faces, unfamiliar noises, uncomfortable temperatures, and lights, to name a few. This is what your baby encounters when they exit from your womb. The only familiar being that your baby knows is you. So nothing will be more helpful to this little conqueror than your 100% availability to him or her physically and psychologically during this critical hour of their existence. Definitely, babies' first few minutes into their new environment are critical because they contribute to their ability to adapt to their new life. To help us put ourselves into baby's shoes, let's reflect on a time in our lives when you found yourself in a new and unfamiliar place. What did you wish for? Most people will look for somebody they know, a restaurant where they can access home-like food, or other things that they can relate to. This familiarity does give us a peace of mind, comfort, and a secure bridge to the unknown. New babies will likewise yearn for what they know and are used to when they are born. So, your newborn baby is desperately looking for anything familiar to identify with to help him settle and get a bearing. Fortunately, nature has a way of sorting this out. Remember, we mentioned in our previous video that baby interacts with you and your environment from within your womb. They already know you, your scent, your voice, your smell, the smell of your breast milk, and of course other close family members like dad and siblings who bonded with them in their prenatal life. That said, the pertinent question is, what can mom do to warmly welcome her baby and reassure them of their safety and comfort? As soon as your baby is born, within the first hour of their birth, it would be super helpful to give them a skin-to-skin embrace. This first skin-to-skin experience for baby helps them to transition from their first home to their new second home with ease. Reason being, when they are next to your skin, they can smell your scent, which is familiar to them. They can hear your heartbeat, which they listen to in their second and third trimester. They can listen to your familiar voice. They can taste your colostrum, which tastes like the amniotic fluid that they frequently swallowed in your womb. It is important to note that babies are born with a natural suck reflex. So the moment their cheek or mouth touches your skin, they immediately look for your breast and attempt to lash on for their first self-feeding experience. Wow. The opportunity to breastfeed strengthens baby foundational competencies of self-management as well as resilience, because it's among the first tasks that he or she initiates. What an achievement. As you hug your baby chest to chest or skin to skin during these first minutes of their life on earth, they will love it if you talk to them, tell them how much they mean to you and what it means to have them in your life. Stroke them lovingly. This strengthens your bond, the bond between you and baby, and makes them feel loved, wanted, and secure. It definitely gives your baby that awesome welcome to this world. Daddies and siblings too need to welcome this long-awaited additional member to the family, but of course, as per the guidance of your healthcare providers. We are glad you're watching, and this brings us to the end of part 1. Thank you so much for your participation. We have explored how to support your baby to learn fundamental socio-emotional competencies upon their birth. Now, please click on the next video and learn more about socio-emotional learning for babies in their first month of life. The video is titled Part 2 of Socio-Emotional Learning Opportunities for Babies 0 to